said this is kind of like a wave. Are you pertaining to there might be more players, or is it just something where, it's going to keep going here and they're going to keep looking into it more and more? Like, what kind of wave are we talking about?
There were 5 players caught gambling on baseball games. One of them is banned from baseball. 4 others are minor league players that will serve 1-year suspensions. So the headliner is San Diego Padres utility man Tucupita Marcano was rehabbing last year after suffering a torn ACL with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he was betting on games, including games that were played by the Pittsburgh Pirates. He wasn't in those games, but he was betting on those games, and he was caught. Over $150,000 in bets from October of 2022, right? Is that what it was? Or last July through November with a legal sports book. Over 87,000 of that 150, so half-ish, was on MLB-related bets, an average of $370 per bet. Of course, what also stands out is the losing, which we can get to in a second. But let's try to be serious for a minute first, okay? 231 bets on baseball. This is a Major League Baseball player. He is currently, well, now he's banned from baseball, but he was on the San Diego Padres rehabbing. He now doesn't get to play baseball anymore. This is the rule. This is how it works. I'm sure many fans are going to comment about Pete Rose. Yes, you cannot bet on games as a Major League Baseball player, whether it's for your team, against your team, for anything involving MLB. You can't do it on a legal or an illegal sports book. You want to bet on the Jets and Bears? Go have a ball. You're allowed to do that. You are not allowed to bet on Major League Baseball. He's gone. What do you think?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, to be honest with you. And you see, I mean, how many guys do this? This is incredible. He did it on a legal site, so it's easily to find. It's easily to track. Those things don't go away. I think it was not a smart move. I think if you're him sitting there, was it really worth it? You're betting that much money. That's a significant amount of money. He wasn't making millions and millions of dollars. I mean, he's the guy, that was making what I think league minimum at the time he was playing, if not maybe a little bit more. But man, you just wasted a huge opportunity to play Major League Baseball for as many years as you can. He's not a big name. It doesn't have to be a big name. You're a guy that made a huge mistake, and now you're paying for it. And you see the other guys on the list here too. Jersey product guy, Jay Groom. He was a star here out of high school. Ran into some troubles, but he only bet 400 and change. Like it's really, it's not worth it. And to see some of these guys on the list, it's just unfortunate because is a little bit of a payday going to help you out for the rest of your career? No, you got caught, and now, you're gonna have to just take it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and the minor league players, just to make sure everyone knows again, 1-year suspensions. Yeah, and they're betting hundreds. It actually shows how their salaries look in the minors. But either way, I mean, my question, and we'll get whatever you've got for us too, Kratz, but my question is, are any of these people unaware of how this works?
I mean, you mean these guys? I can't answer
any of
for
these
them.
5 players. Like, do you feel like as a former player, you played with dudes that didn't understand that you cannot place bets on baseball, whether it's with your local bookie or with a regulated book that actually can catch what happens here, which is why these are becoming more prevalent stories, because guys are getting caught. This has been going on forever, but now it's easier to catch people.
You are so aware when this happens. There is no. You have made the choice to do this. I played with a guy who signed up for a fantasy football website, and it wasn't like the popular fantasy football websites, but it was just fantasy football. And with it, you automatically signed up for fantasy baseball, and there was betting that went along with it. And all of a sudden, he's freaking out. He's like, oh my gosh, I just got these notifications. He went to our security guy. He went to team officials to try to take care of it. So that's what happens when you accidentally sign up for something, or you're like, maybe I'll just try this. Like, they knew what they were doing, and they knew what they were doing based on how small, besides Tucupita's, their bets were tiny. So it was like they were just trying to go in for just a little bump, just a little taste of it, see what it is. And to me, I think it's good that Major League Baseball has done, the 1 year ban, because gambling is out there now, and it's not like it was before where it's all through illegal. It's very regulated, so that's good. But with that, you're going to have guys that do this and try to test the limits. For the automatic ban for Tucupita, he gone. He bet on it. He was in the locker room on a team he was betting for or against. It seemed like it was all for the Pirates. But if you're just betting on baseball, I don't think the lifetime ban is necessarily out there. And I appreciate MLB for only doing a year for those guys.
Yeah, it's everybody knows. Everybody knows you're not supposed to do that. You see, boxing, you can bet on yourself, but I think that might be one of the only ones if there's others out there. But football, same thing. You see all these guys getting caught left and right. I mean, it's fun to put a few, bets in here or there, but you can't bet on your own sport. That's common sense. You have those meetings every year in spring training. You have to sign the thing saying that you were in that meeting, all this kind of stuff. So just not the smartest of moves. And now you go back home. What are you going to do next?
And I'll clarify for anyone that's wondering why Marcano is banned for life, essentially. You can technically apply for reinstatement, but and he, 24 years old, hasn't been a good player in the bigs, hasn't played much in the bigs yet, though. And I remember when he was first coming up, they were like, this guy might turn out to be a decent big leaguer. Ceiling is maybe a regular super utility dude, but even the floor is maybe he bounces up and down, minors, majors, fill-in guy, right? Like, he could have had himself a nice 10-year career. So here's the difference. Major League Rule 21, any player, ump, or club, or league official or employee who shall bet any sum whatsoever upon any baseball game in connection with which the bettor has no duty to perform shall be declared ineligible for 1 year. That's those 4 minor leaguers. Whereas any player, umpire, or club, or league official or employee who shall bet any sum whatsoever upon any baseball game in connection with which the bettor has a duty to perform shall be declared permanently ineligible. And some people might go, well, Marcano was on the IL. Doesn't matter. Major league player on a major league team, privy to information, you're gone. You know what the rules are. And if you don't, I hope you're speaking out about this and letting everyone know what your situation is, because it wasn't one bet, oopsie. It was tons of bets. And yes, his success rate was freaking awful. Awful. He won 4% of his bets, and he was placing a lot of parlays, probably, big plus money, but he didn't hit any of his parlays that he placed with the Pirates involved, and he hit 4% of his bets total. 4%. Like, we place bets every day on our locks. We're for the most part, a lot of us are over 50%, and we're in plus money.
FT is headed to the MLB All-Star Game this year, and there's only one way you should be finding tickets for any ball game. SeatGeek is the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, so they have you covered for all of your baseball ticket needs.
I'm super pumped to hit the Futures game this year. That new skills competition looks electric.
I agree, Kratz. It's like the Olympics for baseball. Cannot wait to see that. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. Baseball season's in full swing, and you don't want to miss out. SeatGeek has your tickets to every game and, of course, concerts, festivals, and more.
Every ticket's backed by their buyer guarantee, and SeatGeek is the only site that lets you return your tickets ahead of the event with swaps.
And Kratz, FT came through for the people. Use our code FOUL for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code FOUL. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app, please.
On this show, we're going to cover it in really every angle that we can. So Lindsay Adler joining us right now from the Wall Street Journal, part of the group that broke the story about Marcano and the entire investigation that was going on with Major League Baseball, along with her colleague Jared Diamond, who we had recently on the show. Both of them do incredible work. So Lindsay, great to have you on here. And can you give us more context on the story and how it's kind of, sending shockwaves through Major League Baseball? Despite it not being big names, this is actually a current player getting banned from the game.
Yeah, this is really the start of, I think, a wave. I think Tucupita Marcano's lifetime ban is obviously the headline, but today 4 other players were also suspended for placing bets on baseball. It's something that the league is really going to have to monitor both in players and employees and just throughout the game. You know, we all know how important Major League Baseball's betting integrity has been to the game, given the history of Throne World Series and Pete Rose. And I think what's interesting here is that it's going to be, we're going to see these things, and baseball's tracking it very closely. I think it's these investigations didn't come out of nowhere. Major League Baseball works with its legal sports betting partners to flag players and employees betting on baseball, and this is sort of, I think, the first move that we've seen on this issue.
Now you put a word out there in the beginning. You said this is kind of like a wave. Are you pertaining to there might be more players, or is it just something where, you know, it's going to keep going here and they're going to keep looking into it more and more? Like, what kind of wave are we talking about?
I mean, baseball is tracking, you know, or is getting updates on situations like this. I mean, the volume of people involved in running baseball as an industry is just sort of enormous. You have many major league players, even more minor league players, and then people throughout the game. So I think I'm not, you know, sure what we will see next, when we will see things next, but I think as we see such an increase in the availability of sports betting and really having it sort of in your face in every regard, you know, it's a big industry, and a lot of these issues, or these players who were suspended today, you know, these issues were flagged months ago, and so I think Major League Baseball will keep it very close to the vest, but I just think it's going to be, I think, something that they keep a very close eye on.
This, you said they were flagged a few months ago. So did these players know they were flagged a few months ago, or is this something that, like, they just found out when we're finding out?
That's not totally clear to me. We reached out to the representatives for all of the players today and haven't really heard back. But yeah, the league works in, I mean, they're business partners with these legal sports betting operators now. And so they do send them the names and dates of birth of not just players, but baseball employees, and can be notified when there are issues. So, I mean, you know, Todd, Eric, you guys know baseball is constantly drilling this into players. Don't bet on baseball, don't bet on baseball. You know, I received the list of times that players are informed about Major League Baseball's Rule 21. It seems like every spring training, it seems like the union is involved. So I am curious. I would love to know sort of what these players really were thinking and feeling, and sort of how this process is played out. But so far, we haven't heard from them directly.
Do you have any evidence of what that process is, in the sense of, like, because when there's drug testing, drug tester comes in, test it, and weeks before, there's an appeal process. Is there an appeal process for this? Do you have any information as far as what the players, like, they find out and then they can appeal? They can say, no, it wasn't me, it was my cousin. How does that work?
My understanding, and I don't have the full details, but my understanding is it essentially works like any other rule violation, whether it's the domestic violence rule, whether it's the steroid rule. You know, I believe that these are coming out now sort of because, yeah, the league has, you know, been doing its investigations, having its conversations. I will be interested to see if any of these players appeal, but also you can see in the press release, the league notes, let me see the language. There's no evidence to suggest and said player denies that any outcomes in the baseball games on which he placed bets were compromised, influenced, or manipulated in any way. So the players have been at least involved in these conversations. I do believe it works sort of just like a standard rule violation where there is sort of a lot more behind the scene that most fans probably don't know is getting talked about, sorted out, and sometimes negotiated before the press release, hits my inbox.
Eric Kratz here from FT. I'm a former athlete that really pays attention to his routine. And AG1 every morning before my workouts is something that gets my day going.
Hey, Braun here. AG1 is a foundational nutrition supplement that delivers daily nutrients and gut health support, and it's backed by multiple research studies so you can trust what you're putting in your body.
Unlike other products which only test their ingredients in isolation, AG1 tests their formula as a whole.
Ready for this stat? 97% of people in a research study felt more energy after 30 days of drinking AG1. If I had to recommend one product to support whole body health, it's AG1, and that's why FT is excited to have them as a new partner. Starting your journey with AG1 is a win. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/foul. That's drinkag1.com/FOUL. Go check it out, FT fam.
Hey, Lindsay, question for you about the timing of announcements today. Why do you think this was announced today? Do you think like everything was suddenly summed up today on the same exact day that we just find out, maybe like an hour after that news that Ippei, Shohei Ohtani's former and longtime interpreter, is pleading guilty to bank and tax fraud charges. And, I'm just reading what I saw here. A change of plea hearing in federal court this morning. Maximum sentence is 33 years. Sentencing. That's not what the sentence is, just for everyone. Sentencing is set for October 25th. And then you get the statement from the Dodgers saying that, essentially that Ohtani and the team can put this matter behind them and move forward in pursuit of a World Series title. And, Ohtani's cleared. So just wanted to get that all out there because we hadn't talked about it on our show. But why are we getting this all today? Do you think that, everyone huddled up and was like, hey, let's do all of the betting ugliness in one day? And also, these are two very different outcomes, right? This is one player who was a victim of fraud. And then this is other players who were proven through regulated sports books that they bet on baseball.
I'm not totally sure on the timing. I would love to have, sort of a TikTok update on when Major League Baseball plans to announce its various disciplines and punishment. But, I would say that the way that today's, player betting announcement looks is pretty much how we get the, steroid updates. It'll come in press release as like 5 players suspended for PED usage. So I'm not totally sure. I mean, my colleague Jared and I broke the story about Marcano yesterday. I'm not sure if the league was intending to release, the situation with the 5 players today, or if, that's sort of coincidental. I think the Mizuhara thing is sort of operating on its own track at this point. The league also put out a statement about that and said, MLB considers Shohei Ohtani a victim of fraud, and this matter has been closed. So it might just be a pretty busy but tidy day over the league offices on the increasingly prevalent conversation about sports betting.
Does the league want to, or give you any inclination that they'll be changing any kind of their stance? Because this hasn't happened, hasn't come up before this year. And even the Ippei stuff wasn't a player. Now we have David Fletcher and the stuff that he's going through. Is the league giving an inclination that they are maybe trying to change how they go about things? Or are they just going to stick to hey, we'll just react to whatever happens instead of being preactive, they'll just be reactive?
I don't know. I haven't heard any indications along those lines. I mean, the league's stance is essentially, look, we make the league rules very clear. They're as you guys know, the league rules are posted in every clubhouse. They have these discussions all the time. I mean, really, baseball is sort of liberal about their sports betting rules. Players can place legal bets on football, basketball, whatever it is. The issue really just arises when they place bets on baseball or place bets, in Mizuhara's case, through an illegal, bookmaker. In that case, sports betting is not legal in California. So I think there's a few different issues here, but I think baseball probably feels that it is being pretty proactive and being very, very adamant with its players and employees about sort of the specifics of Rule 21, as as it has been for a very long time, thanks to Pete Rose. That's something I find pretty interesting, as sports leagues and entities are dealing with this. Like, this has just been a baseball conversation for a very, very long time, like long before the Supreme Court opened the door to legalize sports betting in 2018. So I don't know. I don't know really that the league feels there's much else more to do at this point. But if that changes, I would love to find out.
Hey, Lindsay, last one from me. Were you surprised when you uncovered this story before it was announced? Were you surprised about the news that it involved a current player? I mean, we saw this in a somewhat similar case in basketball with a, kind of a lesser known player right now. I mean, more known just because of a family member in the NBA, but, wasn't a big player in the NBA. And Marcano certainly is not going to be known by, I would say, most even moderate baseball fans, unless they were Padres or Pirates fans, perhaps. But when you saw this news, what was your reaction?
Well, my colleague, Jared Diamond, asked me why I knew so much off the bat about Tucupita Marcano. And I don't know, following Padres prospects has been a pretty worthwhile pursuit for the last 10 years or so, I would say. But no, I mean, these are, players are people. Players are fallible. It doesn't, you can tell them over and over, this is baseball's, essentially number one rule. And people make mistakes. People get caught up in things. People like to try different things. I don't think it really shocks me. I don't, I mean, I look at the figures that we're getting in this press release today. These are for the most part pretty small amounts. Like, Michael Kelly wagered less than $100 and now forfeits nearly $750,000 in salary for the year after spending 10 years working to make the big leagues. So I think what's shocking to me is sort of how much is at risk here, but the fact that, this is something that people are choosing to do is not particularly surprising to me. I just think the consequences, at least in all of these cases, seem to extraordinarily outweigh their winnings, as reported to us by MLB.
Yeah, you're right, especially for the minor league guys. That's why I'm looking at it when we talked at the top. I'm like, do they not understand the rules? Because you're betting like a few $100 total and you're costing yourself tons of money in a year of baseball and your reputation. It's just strange. So maybe one of them will talk on the record at some point. In the meantime, thanks for the great work that you do, and I appreciate you joining us, Lindsay.
Hey everybody, be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.